thought we started really well. I thought we were competitive. I thought we played with energy in the first 5 minutes. And then, when they kind of went on their first run, it kind of deflated us a little bit, which I'm not really sure why. But the offense, I think, for us, it starts on defense. And we, struggled, scouting report-wise. We struggled personnel. We struggled to do what the coaches asked of us. And then, overall, we just played with more energy and effort, and those are the things that just can't happen.
After a humiliating 80-61 loss to the expansion Valkyries, marking their second defeat by the newcomers, Fever coach Stephanie White threw her entire team under the bus, just as Caitlin Clark returned from injury and fans packed Gainbridge Fieldhouse with high hopes. Fresh off stunning wins against Asia Wilson's Aces and Nafisa Collier's Lynx, the Fever crumbled, and White's puzzling in-game calls only deepened the shock. But instead of owning the collapse, White deflected blame post-game, sparking one burning question: is this the leadership the Fever needs?
So we have to talk about Stephanie White getting in the presser and actually going off on the Indiana Fever. But it's something about it, man, because although, yeah, I get it, she was talking about the players, and I understand that because she was right, she also needed to take a little bit of accountability on her own as well.
Just last week, the Fever were flying high, hoisting their first Commissioner's Cup, crushing Asia Wilson's Aces, outclassing Nafisa Collier's Lynx, and finally looking like a team destined for greatness. The chemistry was electric, their identity locked in, and the future blindingly bright.
It's honestly been hard, I'm not going to lie to you. It's difficult, going to prepare for games, but knowing you're not going to be playing in them, and I think just reminding myself of, my abilities and what I've been able to do in this league, even though I've been sitting out, and, just trying to be a great teammate, be a great leader, even though I've been on the bench, and serve my teammates in that way.
Then came July 9th, Caitlin Clark's much-hyped return from injury, a moment meant to be triumphant after missing 5 games, including the Fever's cup-clinching win. Hype soared, the crowd at Gainbridge Fieldhouse was electric, and fans braced for fireworks. Instead, celebration turned to disbelief.
I think it's given me great perspective on what other people have gone through their career, and like you said, I've been fortunate enough to never really been injured, and I play a lot of minutes usually, so I think it gives me good perspective, not only for people that are injured, but some of your teammates that may not be getting the minutes that they want to get, and I think I can use that experience to be a better leader, to be a better teammate, but also it's challenge me mentally. I think, it's really hard to stop and go, and especially when you're not feeling your best. So just trying to get my body as healthy as I can be and remain confident in myself, and then do everything I can once I step back out on the court to help us win.
Instead, fans witnessed a nightmare, an 80-61 beatdown by the expansion Valkyries, who played like seasoned pros while the Fever unraveled on their own floor. What should have been a triumphant homecoming turned into a painful repeat, with Caitlin Clark's return falling flat as the team shot a dismal 31% and hit just 6 of 27 from deep. The crisp, confident offense that fueled their recent title vanished, replaced by sluggish ball movement and broken rhythm.
Bentley lays that one in. Look at the attack, how quickly up the floor. And Clark hits a 3. The
Fever managed just 19 points across the second and fourth quarters, 19, and surrendered 10 offensive rebounds in the second half, allowing the Valkyries endless second chances. What began as a celebration spiraled into a collapse, the energy in Gainbridge Fieldhouse draining with every missed shot and defensive breakdown. Fans watched in disbelief as their team unraveled, and even Caitlin Clark admitted, "We started really well. And then when they went on their first run, it kind of deflated us," which I'm not really sure why.
It's every single person on our team, and, nobody played well today. And, you should look yourself in the mirror and find ways where you can get better, and come back to practice tomorrow and then play again on Friday.
This wasn't just a bad night. It was a complete system failure that revealed deeper issues. The same team riding a winning streak days earlier suddenly looked lost, like they'd forgotten how to play. But the real blow came after the final buzzer, when the finger pointing started.
And I think collectively we didn't do a good job at taking away the stuff that their team likes to do and making them do things they don't want to do. We didn't do a good job of that. We also gave up some timely offensive rebounds that they do a great job of kicking it out, getting open looks, getting open threes late in the game. I think it really just comes down to effort and us not locking in mentally and following the scouting report.
Here's where it gets frustrating. Stephanie White benched Lexi Hull, one of the team's most reliable defenders and three-point shooters. Hull had started most of the season and complemented Clark perfectly with her spacing and defense, but White abandoned that.
So we have to talk about Stephanie White getting in the presser and actually going off on the Indiana Fever. But it's something about it, man, because although, yeah, I get it, she was talking about the players, and I understand that because she was right, she also needed to take a little bit of accountability on her own as well.
Instead, she started Arie McDonald at point guard, the spark plug while Clark was out, which pushed Clark to play off-ball at small forward. How do you not let a generational talent play her natural position? Clark is a point guard. That's where she creates magic and controls the game. White took that away from her.
What did you like about Caitlin and Arie starting the game together and Lexi coming off the bench?
Yeah, I like the ability to have two primary ball handlers on the floor, particularly with a team that comes aggressively, in the two-man game. Being able to play off of one another, being able to give the opponent some different looks, and quite frankly for C specifically, not having to have her play under duress 94 feet the entire time she's on the floor. So there were some things that we liked about it. There are some things that we don't. So we'll continue to work with that.
The offense stalled almost right away. Clark couldn't find her rhythm, and everything looked clunky. She needed the ball to create, but Coach Stephanie White had her running around setting screens. Their styles just didn't fit. One analyst even said it looked like they hadn't practiced this lineup at all.
Look, she can give her different looks. It could turn into something beautiful. I'm excited to see both of them on the floor together because they can create shots for one another. But it didn't happen today. So you should have made the adjustments once the offense looked so stagnant, looked so lost, discoordinated. You should have went ahead and changed that.
Hull was key to the team's success. Her spacing, shooting, and defense made everything click. But when White benched her, the team lost its identity. The Valkyries pounced as the Fever's new lineup struggled. Ball movement vanished, the offense turned predictable, and players forced tough shots. Everything that once worked was gone.
So what happened? The Fever? Slow it down! They get into the beautiful motion offense we've all been in love with since the start of the season. Oh, pass, screen away. Oh, what a thing of beauty. Pass, screen away. Oh my goodness. Did you see how Kelsey Mitchell just set that screen? Mwah! Magnificent. And the Valkyrie, Natalie Nakase, and the crew, they said, oh, now's our time to strike. So over the remainder of the first quarter, the whole entire second quarter, after being up 20-11 with 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go, the Golden State Valkyrie proceed to go on a 30-12 run for the next 13 minutes.
Worse, White limited Clark's minutes just when the team needed her most. It was her first game back from injury, the offense was struggling, and the crowd was restless. But White kept her sidelined. Every time Clark sat, the momentum vanished. The stagnant offense hurt most. They couldn't create easy looks and settled for contested shots instead of finding open ones for shooters like Hull and Mitchell. The smooth, flowing offense from weeks ago looked completely broken.
I would say we can do better than the motion offense when Caitlin Clark's on the bench. We can utilize Kelsey. We can utilize AB. We can utilize Arie. We can do things. But no. Caitlin Clark was a decoy for many parts of this game, majority of this game, dare I say, she didn't seem like a threat, other than when the ball was in her hands, which Stephanie White literally has a heart attack. It says, no, Kaylin, no, too many assists, stop, too much facilitating, cut it out.
These weren't minor tweaks. They were major changes that wrecked the team's identity. White shuffled the starting lineup, moved Clark out of position, and benched one of their most reliable players. The result? A 19-point loss to an expansion team. But her post-game comments did even more damage. At the podium, White stunned fans and analysts by looking into the cameras and blaming her players for the blowout.
I was disappointed because I felt like there was a lack of competitive fire. With the exception of about 2 5-minute spurts, our attention to detail was poor. I'm not sure if it's not knowing the game plan as much as, because if it's not knowing the game plan, then that's a whole nother conversation, as much as not executing the game plan.
White said, I was disappointed because I felt like there was a lack of competitive fire. And she didn't stop there. She kept criticizing her team's effort.
I'd say discipline more so than focus. I think this is a group that focuses. But you can focus, and then you have to be able to go out and be disciplined enough to execute it, right? I'm not sure. We're, as coaches, that's our job to figure it out. Why it is. You've seen it in spurts. You've seen it in moments. You've seen it with certain lineups. So finding, for us, finding those lineups that we've seen it with consistently, and maybe keeping those together.
Here's the problem. White took no responsibility for her own decisions. No mention of benching Hull. No explanation for the failed McDonald experiment. She acted like her coaching had nothing to do with the loss, blaming everyone but herself.
It doesn't take much. There's other ways. But to give up your defensive presence just to mitigate that? Come on, man. To give up your defensive presence, Lexi Hull, somebody who hustles to get rebounds, right? Hustles to get the rebounds. She had like 7 to 8 rebounds. 7 to 8 rebounds, man. We're going to look at the stats. But she was hustling.
Meanwhile, Clark took ownership in her interview. She acknowledged the offensive struggles and said, I thought we started really well. But the offense, I think for us, like it starts on defense. And we struggled, scouting report-wise. We struggled personnel. We struggled to do what the coaches asked of us. She took responsibility for the team's failures. The contrast was clear. Clark showed maturity while the coach pointed fingers. She didn't blame anyone else. She looked for solutions, not excuses.
Our team, we have a lot of inconsistency. We raise to the occasion when we're playing for 30,000, and then we need to bring that level of focus and that level of energy every single day. It's really hard to win in this league, and I think, we need to focus every game because all of these games matter when September, October comes. So it's really just going to come to us, and we really need to regroup, turn the page, learn from this, and come with a better mindset on Friday.
One analyst said it best. Clearly, her philosophy on basketball does not suit Caitlin Clark, raising real doubts about whether the two can coexist. It's a clash of styles. White's rigid control versus Clark's creative freedom. As another analyst put it, the Fever are getting very close to having to make a choice. Stephanie White or Caitlin Clark? How can this team succeed when the coach won't own her mistakes?
Final. Championship bound, baby! Woo! Big up, baby! Woo! The year, man. It got a little crazy out there, but we made it through. We're gonna keep stacking the day, so see you in the championship. Bow! Let's go!
June 17th wasn't just another game. It was sweet revenge. Think back to May 30th, when J.C. Sheldon and the Connecticut Sun left Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson hurt on the court, and those cheap shots went ignored. Well, the Indiana Fever didn't forget a thing. And when Sheldon jabbed Caitlin Clark right in the eye during the rematch, it lit a fire. What followed proves exactly why you don't come for Clark's crew. because Sophie Cunningham was locked in and ready to unleash the most glorious flagrant foul you'll ever witness.
It was chippy the last time these two teams faced off too. Sophie Cunningham suffered her ankle injury in that game, but in addition to that, she actually had part of her front tooth knocked out. She made contact with JC Sheldon as Caitlin Clark knocks down the triple.
But what people don't talk about enough is how hard you have to work to be able to be that good. All the hours that she's spent perfecting her craft. Retreating, firing, and hitting. So she can do that. On Indiana arguing the call. I mean, step back, you're late. She almost looks you in the eye.
Picture this. May 30th, Indiana Fever versus Connecticut Sun. And everything unraveled for the Fever in the worst way imaginable. The game began like any other, two WNBA teams battling for position. But the Sun brought a level of physicality that pushed past fierce and into outright reckless. From the opening tip, you could feel the tension crackling through the air.
Can we talk about the physicality for a second? 2 players on the Indiana Fever got injured last night by the same player on the Connecticut Sun, and that was JC Sheldon. And I tweeted about it. She was playing so reckless. I'm fine with players playing aggressive, but there is a thin line between playing aggressive and playing reckless. When you dive for a ball, you don't land on somebody's leg. She landed on top of Sydney Colson's leg, and her leg got stuck and literally twisted around. Both injuries, both Sydney Colson and Sophie Cunningham, were contact injuries.
Sophie Cunningham went down first after what looked like a deliberate hit. The contact was brutal, way too much for a routine basketball play. Then Sydney Colson took a shot in another shady sequence that left everyone wondering what was really going on out there. The kicker? JC Sheldon was at the center of both plays, bringing an aggressive edge that made your blood absolutely boil.
They weren't non-contact. They weren't ACLs. They weren't Achilles. They were contact injuries caused by the same player. And this kind of physicality that the WNBA they brag about. They say it's always been a physical league. That's just the heart of the It's not good basketball. And we've seen so many injuries. Paige Becker's out with a concussion. Rakia Jackson was out with a concussion. All of these injuries are contact plays. We've seen Caitlin Clark last year get chucked to the ground. We saw Angel Reese get clothesline chucked to the ground. The players continue to do it because the refs are allowing them. Why wouldn't you keep doing it if you're a physical player?
Here's where the college history heats things up. Sheldon and Clark had been clashing since their Iowa versus Ohio State battles. Back then, Sheldon made it her goal to rattle Clark every time they shared the court. She shadowed her non-stop, threw bumps on every screen, and never missed a chance to talk trash during dead balls. This wasn't just a game anymore. This was personal.
Her mortal enemy took out a player. JC Sheldon. Caitlin Clark's mortal enemy, JC Sheldon.
The refs that May Day let it all slide, like they were watching a different game than the rest of us. Hard fouls, no whistle, dangerous plays, ignored. Clark had to stand by as her teammates went down while Sheldon skated by without even a warning. With every possession, the frustration grew. The Fever battled to the end, but fell 85-83. More than just a loss, they were down 2 key players, injuries that could have been avoided if the officials had done their job. Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson were out, and their absence hit hard in the games that followed.
This is a reckless play. This is reckless. It is dangerous. And this angle makes it look even worse. It is dangerous. Like, Sid Colson is between her and the ball. Sid Colson is, in fact, between JC Sheldon and the ball, and she dives through her knee. It wasn't even called as a foul.
You could see it in Clark's eyes after that loss. The way she stared down Sheldon in the handshake line. The edge in her voice during the post-game interview. This wasn't finished. Not even close. The Fever would remember every detail. Who threw the hits, who got hurt, and how the refs just let it all slide. June 17th couldn't come fast enough. And when it did, Clark was back from her quad injury, fresh off a dominant win over the undefeated New York Liberty, and locked in to face the Connecticut Sun again. It was just her second game back after 3 weeks off, but you could tell she hadn't forgotten a thing. The way she stepped onto the court, the way she stared down the sun during warm-ups. This wasn't just another game, not for her.
She just texts me. She never texts me during the game.
All right. Here is Clark, splashing home a 3 from way downtown. Kelly escorting her back to the bench.
JC Sheldon is there on it. With her hand in her face.
The game tips off with that same thick tension hanging in the air. Sheldon's on Clark from the jump, guarding her like everything's on the line, way too close for comfort. She's glued to Clark on every possession, throwing bumps on screens, doing all the little things that turn basketball into a brawl. It's the same reckless intensity that sidelined Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson back in May. And everyone in the arena can feel it. Something's coming.
And Caitlin Clark are talking to the official. They're both going at it saying, hey, oh, there's a little extra right there. Uh-oh. Then Marina steps in to protect JC.
Third quarter hits, and here comes the moment that flips everything. Clark is bringing the ball up court when Sheldon steps in to defend. She reaches in for what looks like a steal, but her finger goes straight into Clark's eye. The contact is instant and impossible to miss. Clark's head jerks back from the impact. You can see it clear as day.
Third quarter we go. They're trailing by 10. Keep an eye on her and JC Sheldon. Clark trying to back her down.
Here is if Clark is okay.
Sheldon, that was Clark, hitting her in the face. Clark is upset about that. Then everybody's upset about that. Marina Mabry comes in. She decks Clark, tempers flaring on both sides.
Clark instantly grabs her face, pain and fury flashing across her expression as she realizes what just happened. She's squinting, trying to blink it out, but you can tell this is more than just physical. She knows exactly who did it. The same player who took out her teammates is now coming for her, using the same dirty tactics that slipped by the refs last time. So Clark does what any true competitor would. She pushes back, literally shoving Sheldon away after taking a finger to the eye. It's instinct, pure and simple. Anyone would do the same. The crowd explodes because they all saw it. But unbelievably, the refs are about to make things even worse.
Hey.
I mean, is that displacement? I think it is.
Oh, and Marina Mabry's going to get ejected. If the officials saw that, Marina Mabry is going to get ejected.
Well, they're going to go and look at it. Look at Mabry. She's got a scar on one side, a scratch on one side of her face, a scratch on the other side. It's not from the game today. I asked her about it. She's always in the mix. There's a lot of contact here. There's a scrape across the face. That's what Clark didn't like.
Clark standing there, clutching her eye, clearly the victim of a dangerous play. Yet the officials reach for their whistles. The arena erupts in confusion and outrage. Fans are pointing to the replay boards, where the eye poke is plain as day, but the refs aren't budging. Instead, they hit Clark with a technical foul for pushing back after getting jabbed in the eye. A technical foul for defending herself. The call makes zero sense to anyone watching. Clark had just dropped 32 points in her first game back from injury, and now she's being punished for reacting to the same player who took out her teammates. The message this sends? That targeting Clark comes without consequence, and if she stands up for herself, she's the one who'll pay the price. But that eye poke? That was just the spark. Because Marina Mabry saw it all go down, and she was about to raise the temperature to a whole new level.
Take another look as we try to figure out what exactly went down. So you see her get hit in the face. JC Sheldon doesn't like that, and everybody on the team doesn't like it. Marina, trying to have her teammates back, pushes her down. You see A little bit of drama all the way around. Tina Charles, Clark, and Mabry, they received technical fouls. Sheldon received a flagrant 1 foul.
Right after Clark gets slapped with that bogus technical foul, Marina Mabry decides she's done watching and takes matters into her own hands, in the worst way imaginable. Clark is still trying to shake off the eye injury when Mabry storms over and does something that leaves everyone in the arena absolutely stunned.
That's what Clark didn't like. Then Mabry came in with a bump.
And Mabry's day is almost assuredly going to be done. But both teams.
This wasn't basketball contact. This was straight up assault. Mabry body checked Clark like it was a hockey game, not the WNBA, sending her crashing backward to the court. The hit was blatant and completely uncalled for, so obvious that even the most casual fans could see it for what it was. Clark hit the floor hard, stunned, and you could see it in her face. The shock of realizing that yet another Connecticut Sun player had just taken a cheap shot at her.
And then Marina Mabry comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor. Now let's watch this in slow motion. Here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabry, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to the ground.
The entire Fever bench leaps to their feet because they've just watched their star player get assaulted right in front of the referees. Players are pointing at Mabry, yelling at the officials, pleading for someone in stripes to finally step in and do their job. The crowd is losing it, roaring with disbelief as this unfolds right on their home court. Coach Stephanie White is on the sideline, completely unhinged, screaming at the refs who are somehow still missing what's happening right in front of them. She's waving her arms, pointing straight at Mabry, desperate to make them understand that this has gone way past normal basketball contact. White knows exactly what's happening. Clark just got targeted again, and the officials are about to blow it. Again.
Now after this, you guys, of course, the referees are going to review the play because that's a lot of contact going on right there. That's a lot of unnecessary contact. That's a lot of non-basketball contact happening during this play, right? So the 3 referees that I like to say, they got them straight out of Sephora because I don't think these referees have ever refereed a professional basketball game in their life. They took these referees, they were at the monitor, they looked at it for, I'm not even exaggerating, you guys, like 15 minutes. 15 minutes they are watching this play over and over.
The refs hand Mabry just a common technical foul, the exact same penalty they gave Clark for simply defending herself after getting poked in the eye. Let that sink in. Clark gets jabbed in the eye and pushes back. Technical foul. Mabry straight up body checks Clark to the floor in retaliation. Also a technical foul. The math doesn't add up, and everyone in the arena knows it.
The announcers here are saying, of course, Marina Mabry is going to get ejected because that was unwarranted. She literally came out of nowhere and chucked Caitlin Clark. There should be a flagrant 1, of course, on JC Sheldon because she swiped her and hit her in the eyeball. Whether it is intentional or not, you can still have a flagrant a flagrant foul called on you, whether you are trying to intentionally hurt somebody or not. But this is what they called, you guys. This is what they called. Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabry, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it. And JC Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were ejected.
White goes off in the post-game press conference. When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long, this is what happens. She's had it. She's done watching her players get targeted while the refs just stand there and let it slide.
When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game. It's been happening all season long. this is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete and they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competition. So I started talking to the officials in the first quarter, and we knew this was going to happen. You could tell it was going to happen. So they got to get control of it. They got to be better.
The message couldn't be clearer now. The officials weren't going to protect Clark, so her teammates would. Sophie Cunningham had been watching it all unfold from the bench, and she was about to send a message no one would forget. Nobody messes with her teammate. Final minute of the game. Fever's cruising with an 87-70 lead, and JC Sheldon gets the ball one last time. The clock is winding down, but Cunningham isn't thinking about the score anymore. She's thinking about May 30th, when she went down hurt. She's thinking about Clark getting eye-poked with no real punishment. She's thinking about Mabry body-checking her teammate to the floor.
So now let's talk about Sophie Cunningham. At the end of the game, JC Sheldon is going for a fast break layup and Sophie Cunningham is running with her. And I remember in my head, like it happened in a split second and I said, oh, let's see. Let's see what happens here.
Cunningham remembers everything from that brutal May game. Her own injury, sitting on the bench in pain while Sheldon strutted around untouched. She remembers the refs turning a blind eye as her teammates took hit after hit. And now, here's Sheldon, driving to the basket. Cunningham sees her shot, and she's not about to let it pass.
Sophie commits a hard foul on JC Sheldon. Again, as JC Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. What I will say is Sophie did not grab her and throw her to the ground. She didn't body slam her. She didn't do anything, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm biased here, but I'm going to give you guys my straight up honest opinion on this. She bear hugged her, took her to the ground. Yes, it was intentional. It was absolutely intentional.
She lines up Sheldon and delivers the most satisfying, flagrant foul you'll ever witness. Cunningham grabs her hard, wraps her up, and drags her to the floor. This wasn't a basketball play. This was payback. This was justice. This was Sophie Cunningham making it crystal clear. You don't mess with her teammates. The officials hit Cunningham with a flagrant 2, and she's automatically ejected. Sheldon and Lindsay Allen get tossed too for jumping into the fight. 3 players ejected, but the message was delivered. Justice finally hit the court.
It was, to me, payback for what was happening the entire game. But she did it in a way that she wasn't going to injure JC. She was just making it known, like, if the refs aren't going to handle it, I will handle it. We'll take care of it, but this is not what you're going to do when you come into our house. It was an intentional foul. It was a hard foul. She brought her down. But with that, you guys, JC Sheldon got up and she was ready to go. So as you guys can see in this video, a whole scuffle breaks out. Sophie and JC are going after it. Both teams are running over, trying to break it up. It kind of goes into the fan section a little bit.
Clark finishes with 20 points and 6 assists, leading the Fever to an 88-71 win that felt like way more than just a victory. Natasha Howard notches her 50th career double-double with 16 points and 12 rebounds. Kelsey Mitchell chips in 17 points. It was a full team effort, but everyone knows what truly mattered.
A rare miss at the rim for Aaliyah Boston, the league's top field goal percentage shooter in the WNBA, but it's Boston who comes up with the steal and the find to Howard. Clark working on the rookie. Clark on the drive. Hang, shot too strong. There's Howard to clean up.
And Clark working off the ball, comes off the stagger.
Third year in her WNBA in terms of setting up her teammates. Clark behind the back, feed inside. 2 more for Howard.
This wasn't just about beating the Sun. This was the Fever showing they won't be bullied. They won't back down. And they always protect their own. The win sends them to their first ever Commissioner's Cup final. But more importantly, it sends a message to the entire league. If you come after their players, you'd better be ready for the consequences.
The Indiana Fever fans were chanting, "Sophie, Sophie." Sophie's jersey is going to sell out tonight. She's going to be in the All-Star game tonight just from this one play because she was standing on business. It wasn't a dirty play. It was an intentional foul, and it was meant to send a message. It turned into a scuffle, and I don't think anybody wanted that.
The Fever got their revenge after that brutal May 30th loss. Clark got her justice after the eye poke and the body check. Sophie Cunningham became a hero for stepping up when it mattered most. Sometimes, the officials won't protect you, but your teammates will. That's exactly what happened on June 17th, when the Indiana Fever showed the basketball world they're not backing down from anyone.
Oh, Clark just took it away. It's a 2-on-1. Clark, bounce pass, pretty fine, and Mitchell won't miss from there.
This game proved the Indiana Fever aren't just talented. They're a family that fights for each other when it matters most. When the officials won't protect their players, teammates like Sophie Cunningham step up and handle it themselves. That's what real loyalty looks like in professional sports. Now, the Commissioner's Cup Final awaits on July 1st against the Minnesota Lynx. And after watching how this team rises through adversity and stands united, 2025 is already looking brighter for Fever fans. Remember this moment the next time someone says loyalty doesn't exist in pro sports, because Sophie Cunningham just proved them wrong. If you ride with the Fever, drop a comment below, like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss a moment.
We get to sit down with another legend today.
GOAT status.
I just want to read some accolades real quick before I introduce this person. Two-time NCAA champ at SC. Won the first 4 WNBA championships.
How many?
4 straight.
Okay, make sure.
Was the finals MVP of all 4 chips.
How many?
4.
Okay.
Yeah. 8-time overseas scoring champ. I mean, and that's just some of the accolades. Welcome to the show, the one and only, Miss Cynthia Cooper.
Cynthia Cooper didn't just hand Caitlin Clark her flowers. She rolled out a full-on red carpet, unleashed confetti cannons, and delivered a standing ovation broadcast live on national TV. It was graceful, heartfelt, and as rare as a WNBA highlight without controversy. Now, flip the script to Sheryl Swoopes, who showed up armed with a bouquet of passive-aggressive jabs and shade so thick it could blot out the sun. This wasn't your typical sports talk. It felt more like a high school reunion gone sideways, except the cafeteria was a press conference and the grudges stretched back decades. Cooper's tribute? Pure elegance? Swoopes? She just submitted her resume for the pettiest teammate of the century.
One word to describe Caitlin Clark.
Amazing.
Yes.
A beast. She is the truth.
Enter Cynthia Cooper, the Hall of Famer, the Trailblazer, the unstoppable bucket who single-handedly pulled the early WNBA into the spotlight with nothing but pure grit and heart. When it came to the Caitlin Clark conversation, Cooper didn't just show up, she soared. Her praise was sharp, meaningful, and genuine, not some hollow, she's decent line. It was a true legend tipping her hat to the next rising star. Meanwhile, Swoopes sounds like she's swallowed a foghorn, blasting waves of negativity every time Caitlin's name lights up the headlines. If jealousy were a stat, Sheryl would be running the league with no competition.
It's amazing how different somebody like Cynthia Cooper is to Sheryl Swoopes. They played together, but the difference in the hateration, the pettiness, the jealousy that comes from one former player versus the other former player is stark.
Let's break down this drama, shall we? Cynthia Cooper watched Caitlin pull off those jaw-dropping moves, launching threes from the logo, dishing out assists that defy physics, and recognized pure brilliance when she saw it. She called it like a true legend. This girl's got it. Because honestly, she absolutely does. Clark's got the vision of Sue Bird, the range of Steph Curry, and the calm confidence of a veteran who's faced it all, and still smiles. Cooper saw all that and declared, This is exactly what the WNBA needs. Meanwhile, Swoopes is off somewhere furiously scribbling conspiracy theories on a whiteboard like she's trying out for the worst Netflix docuseries ever, Caitlin and the Case of the Inflated Stats.
You asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record?
Let's not forget Swoopes' laughable attempt to rewrite the record books. She claimed Clark wasn't the true NCAA scoring leader because of, brace yourself, an extra year Clark never even used. Yep, a completely fictional 5th year, folks. Meanwhile, Angel Reese could drop a stat line straight out of a blooper reel, 2 for 11 shooting, 6 turnovers, and a foul on every limb, and Swoopes would still gush like she just uncovered the next Diana Taurasi. It's less analysis and more fangirl fantasy, but only when Caitlin's not involved. If Clark drops 40 points, it's witchcraft. If Reese stumbles into a double-double, suddenly it's greatness redefined.
Caitlin Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Carry on.
I know you like that.
Hell yeah.
I said that because when she comes to the league, regardless of what team she goes to that has vets on that team, she probably ain't gonna get 40 shots a game.
And Sheryl's takes aren't just bad. They're deafening, obnoxiously loud. While the rest of us marvel at Clark's on-court wizardry, Swoopes is busy delivering keynote speeches at the Anti-Caitlin Summit, treating recognition of true excellence like a betrayal to her era. It's as if she believes Caitlin's rise is a personal attack, instead of what it really is, a win for the game.
3 WNBA MVPs in your career. Would you consider each of those 3 seasons as dominant seasons for yourself?
No.
I can't. Bro, Sheryl Swoopes is willing to lie about her own career before she even admits that Caitlin is dominant.
Meanwhile, Angel Reese, Sheryl's so-called golden girl, just got bumped off her usual spot on the court. Why? Because the Chicago Sky actually want to score some points this season. Thanks, but no thanks. In college, Reese thrived on putbacks and rebounds. Now that she's in a league where you actually have to make layups and rotate on defense, let's just say the Sky's stat sheets aren't exactly breaking the internet. And speaking of breaking records, let's talk cold, hard numbers. Caitlin Clark isn't just selling out arenas, she's outdrawing NBA teams in some cities. Reese, meanwhile, could throw in courtside seats with a surprise Drake cameo and still leave rows empty. Remember when she claimed she brought the eyeballs? Yeah, funny, because no one seems to be watching anymore.
And I mean, she's the truth, and she was a rookie, right?
Yeah.
Knock down the 3-pointer, get to the rim. She can get to the free throw line. She's crafty.
Yeah, very crafty.
Crafty. So sometimes she look like she's coming off for a 3-point shot and she backdoors you for a layup. She gets her teammates involved. She can pass. She can shoot. Man, she is a complete basketball player.
And while Clark casually rewrites record books and handles interviews like a seasoned media pro, she's still treated like she's gate-crashing the league. It's wild. People act like her success is some kind of glitch in the Matrix. Meanwhile, the old guard clings to their fading influence like it's the last Gatorade sponsorship on Earth. Since when did celebrating a rising star become such a controversial act?
So we all know these WNBA veterans, for the most part, has not been very welcoming besides your Sue Birds, your Sheryl Millers, and a few others. But when it comes to Sheryl Swoopes and them, oh, there's some serial haters, bruh. Now, Lisa Leslie, she been alright, but she criticized the time too. But with all that being said, Cynthia Cooper made it her business to big up Caitlin Clark.
So here comes Cynthia Cooper, injecting a much-needed dose of sanity into the chaos. She basically said, "Can we please stop acting like recognizing Caitlin's greatness is a crime?" Just like that, she reminded everyone what a true legend looks like. Legends don't feel threatened. They get inspired. They pass the torch without torching the next generation. And while Cooper's out here raising the bar for class, Swoopes is still stuck sulking like someone just snatched her last championship ring.
You know what I want to see? So many people talked about Sabrina and Steph, with that three-point shooting contest. You know what I want to see in the WNBA All-Star game? I want to see Sabrina Ionescu shoot against Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, me too.
I want to see that three-point shooting contest.
Yeah, facts. That's dope. Hopefully it'll be there. It's in Indiana this year, right?
It's the same moment, seen through two very different lenses. Cooper looks at Caitlin and thinks, wow, pure brilliance. Meanwhile, Swoopes squints, mutters something about cubic zirconia, and refuses to give a single clap. Girl, please. Caitlin Clark isn't just playing well, she's transforming the league. She's landing deals, filling arenas, and getting kids to rock Fever jerseys like they're the new school uniform. If that's not changing the game, then what is? And still, every time her name comes up, it feels like we're stuck in a courtroom drama. Objection, Your Honor. She's just too good.
Caitlin Clark says, how do you say bang in Portuguese? It don't matter! Bang! For a preseason game, they flew up from Brazil, lost by 64, and got to make TikToks with Caitlin Clark after the game. Where do I sign up? Bang! Not sure why they played the game in Iowa, because Caitlin Clark, she was still shooting the shot from South America, baby! Bang!
Caitlin Clark found herself utterly stunned. And this time, it wasn't because she sank a shot from the logo or broke yet another record. Not at all. It was something far more unexpected. The whole Brazilian national team, along with their coach, offered such astonishing praise that even the most composed star in basketball was left at a loss for words.
The team were lining up to get autographs. She signed their jerseys. They were getting her to sign their jerseys. She was signing the players' jerseys. This is like Dream Team. This is literally like Dream Team stuff. We haven't seen this since the damn Dream Team. She is literally signing the jerseys of teams she played against. She is signing their jerseys. They're that much in awe of her.
This wasn't your typical "she's amazing" cliche. It was a show-stopping moment from a seasoned basketball veteran, and Caitlin was left blinking like, did that really just happen? Picture being praised so openly and unexpectedly that it feels like a defining moment in your career. That's the magnitude we're talking about. And guess who faced the very same squad just days earlier and didn't receive that kind of admiration? Angel Reese. And she's not happy about it. Drop a comment with where you're tuning in from so we can see just how far the CC fan base stretches across the US and around the globe. Let's get it.
How are you? Good, how are you?
Are you an amazing player? Congratulations.
Thanks.
You're changing the history in basketball.
I appreciate it. Thanks for coming here.
Let's take a moment to truly soak this in. Brazil, the land of samba, soccer legends, and mouth-watering steaks, has now made room in its cultural heart for Caitlin Clark admiration. Who saw that coming? In a simple preseason exhibition, not a championship or high-stakes clash, Caitlin commanded so much attention, she might as well have shifted the sport's center of gravity. Brazil's head coach, a veteran, likely coaching since before many fans were born, watched her play and reacted like he'd just witnessed the female version of Michael Jordan. This wasn't just praise, it was pure reverence.
The team she played against last night, and I understand a lot of this team was young, but the team she played against last night, getting pictures with Caitlin Clark at the end of the game, having her literally sign their jerseys, and those jerseys, you better believe the coach of the rival team being in shock. Like, this is the dream team. This is the dream team. This is the opponents getting pictures with the dream team.
And it didn't end there. The coach didn't just hand out compliments and move on. He nearly sanctified her then and there. This wasn't the recycled flattery from a faded commentator stuck in the glory days of the 90s. This was authentic, elite-level admiration. He spoke of her like she was a legend come to life, as if she'd descended from Mount Olympus, grabbed a basketball, and chosen the WNBA as her side hustle. And coming from a man whose nation treats soccer as sacred, that level of respect is nothing short of golden.
Brazil, their coaching had no answer whatsoever for Caitlin Clark. And they threw so many different looks at her. Like, I've never seen a team throw so many different looks at a player.
But hold on, it gets even better. After the game, Caitlin didn't just exit like a typical star. She stuck around to autograph Brazil's national team jersey because they asked her to. Let that sink in. Caitlin Clark, basketball's brightest star, signed their jersey like it was just part of her routine. But that wasn't just ink on fabric. That was a generational stamp. That was the Mona Lisa putting her name on the Sistine Chapel.
There you go. That's one, guys.
Go viral with that shot, man.
I know, I'm crazy.
After you, can we do a TikTok video?
And here's the kicker. Caitlin didn't do it with a shred of ego. There was no smug grin, no dramatic pause to fix her shades. She signed that jersey with poise, warmth, and the kind of effortless humility that makes you question if she's a real human or the blueprint for the ideal athlete. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is out here blocking fans and tweeting that she doesn't have time for the small stuff, while Caitlin's casually out here brokering international goodwill with a pen stroke.
We know that we can be the best front court in this league, so just trying to do the best as we can. I think in this offseason, we got the shooters that we needed, and as you can see tonight, we have some great shooters out there, which just spaces out for both of us. So I think we're in a great direction.
Just hours before tip-off, Brazil's players were out there channeling their inner Caitlin, launching deep threes and warm-ups like they were trying out for a highlight reel spoof. But after the final buzzer, those very same players transformed into starstruck fans, lining up like they were at a pop concert. Phones in hand, faces lit up, pleading for selfies and autographs like she was Beyoncé. Only this queen had a basketball in her hand.
Across the footage of the Brazilian national team dancing on Caitlin Clark logo at Carva Arena. Man, a lot of people had mixed reviews about it. Well, it looked like that wasn't the only clip because the entire team got in on the action, bruh. Got in on the jumping on Caitlin Clark logo, stomping on it. Damn.
Caitlin walked onto the court and did exactly what everyone was secretly hoping for. Drained a deep three with such effortless precision, it left the crowd audibly stunned. She wasn't putting on a show for the spotlight, she was simply doing what she always does, shattering expectations like it was routine. The Brazilian team, still trying to catch their breath after witnessing pure excellence, suddenly realized they hadn't just been outplayed, they'd become part of the moment. Not the kind you brag about, but the kind that gets replayed in every sports montage for the next 10 years.
They were there. They were knocking her on her ass a couple of times. They were being physical. They were denying her. They didn't try to stop during the game. They just did not have it. They're so excited. They're taking pictures with her after the game. They're taking pictures. They're taking pictures with her like.
That's the distinction. Caitlin doesn't just show up to play, she takes full command. While others are busy fueling Twitter drama or chasing brand deals that fade quicker than a missed Reese jumper, Caitlin is busy reshaping the trajectory of the WNBA. Brazil didn't just tip their hat to her, they were completely awestruck. And honestly, who could fault them for it?
Excuse me, pardon me, just trying to get through real quick. Sorry about that. Bang! Excuse me, ma'am, hold on. I think you dropped something. Oh, it's a dime. Floater, look at that. Big it, bang, boom, 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 bang. And her misses are majestic and set up her teammates for success. Look at this soft bounce off the rim, put back by her teammate. Bang! Just stand in the corner, clap your heels together 3 times and cut to the basket. Caitlin Clark will find you every single time.
You know who didn't get that kind of reception from Brazil? Angel Reese. No crowds begging for selfies, no glowing remarks from the coach, no jerseys treated like priceless memorabilia, just some missed layups and empty energy. It's almost as if respect isn't something you declare on Twitter, it's something you earn on the court. Let's be honest. When was the last time a foreign coach raved about Reese's performance? When has a national team queued up for her autograph like kids waiting to meet Mickey Mouse? In a single night, Brazil gave Caitlin Clark more admiration than Reese has managed to squeeze out of years of self-marketing. And that's the core issue. Reese keeps insisting she is the moment, while Caitlin keeps making them.
Angel Reese is now quoted as saying, "I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we're watching women's basketball is not just because of one person." She refuses to say Caitlin Clark's name. "It's because of me too, and I want you to realize that."
And while Reese's camp is probably furiously refreshing their mentions, Caitlin's just taking boos after casually reminding the world why she's the face of the league. She didn't ask for the spotlight, she took it. And now the whole world, from Iowa to Sao Paulo, knows the truth. Caitlin Clark isn't just great, she's global. Brazil didn't just see a player, they saw a movement, and, like the rest of us, they wanted in. Because when Caitlin Clark steps on a court, she doesn't just change the game, she changes the atmosphere. And if Angel Reese wants to know what that feels like, well, she'll have to do a lot more than practice posing for the cameras. There's a reason the Brazilian team didn't pose for pictures with Angel Reese. There's a reason they weren't reposting highlights of her jump shots. Because when Caitlin Clark's in the gym, the energy shifts, the air changes. People know they're watching something special, something rare. Reese might talk like she's the future of women's basketball, but Caitlin is out here getting standing ovations in multiple languages.